Thanks for checking out this video. So in this video, I am going to explain my thought process as I was doing sketches for an assignment. So I am going to, once I go through the process, the assignment is the graffiti lettering, creating a graffiti tag, and then we're going to put that graffiti tag into perspective. So in this video, I am not going to talk about putting it into perspective. I'm only going to talk about the idea part and then turning that idea into something that I can use for my final piece. So going from little tiny thumbnail sketches to actually having something that's going to be a tool for me as I work towards completion on this project. So this is a look inside Mr. Brown's mind, what I think as I sketch ideas. Like I said, for this assignment and many of my other assignments, I have a minimum number of sketches that need to be done because you need to hash out the ideas in your head. And a lot of times, especially in high school, people will do a sketch and it'll be a good first sketch and they'll be like, all right, I'm done. But there's still lots of ideas to explore, and sometimes just because your first one is a decent one doesn't mean that there's not a better idea around the corner. So I'm using the Savory Party Pack to get everything closer to the camera. And then, like I said, after I show you my sketches and what I was thinking, I'm going to talk about how to make my tool for getting this project complete. So the name I'm using is my wife's name, Angie, obviously. So what I did first, before any sketches, I took and I wrote her name in capital letters, then I did lowercase letters, and then I did like lowercase letters, but with these like added serifs, like with the tail and the tags on the A and the G. And then as I was doing that, most people call my wife Ange. So I did that, and then that's also kind of the phonetic spelling of it, the A-N-G or A-N-G. So I decided instead of Angela or Angie that I was going to use the letters A-N-G to create this graffiti tag design. So this is my first idea. I had to start somewhere, and I didn't think a whole lot about it. You know, a lot of people, when they start drawing, they freeze in fear. I just took pencil to paper and did this. Lowercase a, lowercase n, and a capital G. Now, I like how all that kind of works together. It's not terrible. But then I said there needs to be some consistency. So then I said, okay, let's do all capital letters. And that's what happened here. So I did all capital letters, and I just kind of played with how the shapes and the lines kind of line up with each other. And it ended up looking like, by the time I got to the I and the E, I intentionally made it look like a pitchfork down here, because the rest of it kind of looks like a goth band or a death metal band t-shirt design. So that was my thought process there. It started as capital letters, but then it morphed into something else while I was doing the sketch. And then with this one, it was along the same lines of that. So still that kind of gothic death metal kind of look to it. I intentionally made this look like a scythe, the thing that the Grim Reaper holds. And then I was like, well, that's enough of that. That's too dark. My wife is not that kind of person. So I wanted to go a completely different direction. And that's when I did this. And this is absolutely terrible. This is a crappy design. And it didn't work at all like I thought it might. But there was one salvageable thing, and it was this, how I made the bar on the A is in line with the E. So actually this says A-N-G-I-E. So I went, I started with Ange up here, and then I went back to Angie, and then the A-N-G-I-E. I liked how the E and the G and the A kind of went right through the middle there. So then I went back to Ange, and I did that. I intentionally made this line up with this, and sketch number 5 doesn't look too bad. So it's vertical and horizontal, so I said, okay, what if I take this and springboard, and what if I make it curved? What if the whole thing kind of does a like a curve? And then I came up with that. And as I was doing the G, I realized that G looks a lot like the Scream, the head of the Scream by Edvard Munch. And I said, okay, that's enough of that. So then I moved on completely different direction. Thought about organizing the location of my letters. So in everything except that first design, it's left to right. So when I do this sketch, I'm putting the A and the N on top and the G underneath. And this is kind of going off of this idea, but not really. And from there, I also added a couple little extra things, these little circles here, which make it look a little bit more graffiti-like. So after I had that sketch done, I flipped the page, and still kind of along those same lines, still kind of thinking in terms of organization of letters, I used the G to circle the A and the N. And these three were done really quick, in a really quick succession. So I did this one, and then I was like, all right, let's make the A and the N the same. So I did that, and I was like, oh, that kind of looks like a head. So let me make it proportionally more like a head. So then I made this part much bigger, and that's, I made a note. I said, this looks like something. So then I took it and I spent some time paying attention to all of the shapes and all of the lines. And you can see I've also added a couple little extra like movement lines. And at that point, I was happy with this. I was like, that's a pretty good idea. And I like the fact that, you know, it progressed from here. So this went through a couple different iterations or different versions before I ended up with that. And I said, okay, that's good. Now let's totally change direction. And then I did another thing that sucks. So you can see there's a pattern here where I kind of use an idea, and then I kind of, you know, borrow parts and pieces. And then, you know, I get to a point where I've felt like I've used that idea to its maximum, and then I have to totally change gears, and then usually that is a terrible idea, which this one was. This one is so stupid. It's a house. Why I don't know. And again, that's the thing about sketches, is sometimes bad ideas like this, like as I was drawing this, I was like, this is dumb. But when you put the bad idea on paper, sometimes there's things that can come out of it. And I ended up putting this G on the bottom. It ended up looking like sewer lines or something. So the A, if you don't see it, I don't blame you. The A is the roof, and then there's the crossbar, and then the N, I made the walls, and then this line is supposed to be that middle line for the N, but it doesn't even really work. So then, like I said, when I looked at that, I said, I did a little frowny face, but then I said, I like this. I don't know what I can do with this, but I like this. And then at this point, I just needed to look at those letters again and look for shapes and lines. So I rewrote the letters, A-N-G, and that's not a sketch. That's not an idea. That's just me, you know, I guess you could call it research. regrounding myself. And then from there, I, like the first sketch, I just kind of did something and kind of did it, you know, using bits and pieces of all the things that I had done up to that point. So this is sketch number 13. So at this point, I've followed a couple of my ideas as far as they took me, and I've restarted a couple times, and this is just kind of an amalgamation of everything that was rolling around in my head at the time. And then this happened with that circle, and I said, well, let's go back, because previously I had those circles. So I went back and I did this, which is a better idea on that circle idea. And then I did it again and kind of cleaned some stuff up. And then when I got to sketch 15, I realized, no, that's not going to work. So sketch 16, now you remember that this was crap. Sketch 16, I use that from that crap sketch. I take that G and then I build off of that. And then again, this is the progression of one idea. Here it looks, I think this is the best of this progression. In here it gets very, very abstract. And then I kind of, you know, it's the A and the G is very easy to see in this one. The A is harder to see, but the N and the G, which I was okay with that. This, you can't really see anything. It looks cool. I don't hate it, but it's very, very abstract. So then in this one, I kind of tried to reground it and use the best parts of all three of those. And I wrote fast, because that kind of looks like it's moving quickly. And at that point, like I said, as I've said before, that was it. I followed the idea. You know, I started here and kind of moved through, and then that was it. I wasn't going to, there wasn't anything else that I felt like I needed to explore in that sketch. So sketch number 20 is actually where I lose count. And I didn't even count sketch 20. I put sketch 21 as 20. So this, I did this and I was like, what is that, GAN? Moving on. This is similar to some other ideas. And then I said, okay, let's try lowercase. And when I did that, I really, really liked it. So after I did that, I said, well, wait, that kind of looks like an angel, which is perfect because the name Angela, it means angel. So then I tried to push for that. I tried to make the rest of my sketches look like, I tried to make the ANG look like an angel. And then there's that. That one looks like a gargoyle. So I said, nope, too much. So I tried to add a halo. I said, nope, that's not good. But at this point, I was onto something. So I kept pushing. I did this one where I kind of did this thing with the wing, which I liked, but it didn't work with the rest of it. And then this ends up looking like, I don't know, it looks like a bad sketch. It looks like a bad caricature of a goat mixed with Ringo Starr. I don't know. This is, so at this point, I'm on sketch 26. I'm chasing this as an idea. And I ended up here and I kind of got frustrated. So I said, all right, let's just switch gears. And I did this and I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I was probably getting a little bit hangry. So I shut it off for the day. I turned the lights off, went upstairs, had dinner. And then today, now, I sat back down, looked over my sketches, and I did 2 more. And I ended up with this. So when you're doing your sketches, a nice thing to do, sometimes it's very beneficial to stop, take a break, forget about it, and then come back and look at it with fresh eyes a little bit later. So I'm going to use this one because I think this is the best out of all of them. And as I was thumbing through these, you probably saw that I highlighted some of these. And that's something that I did after I sketched this. I said, all right, let's pick one. And I like this one, but it's too death metal for what I'm doing. I like the G here, but the A and the N, I don't care for. It reminds me of the Dallas North Stars of hockey team. I forget who they are now, but I think they're the Dallas Stars, not the North Stars anymore. This one, it's cool, but it's kind of sci-fi, which doesn't fit my wife's personality. My wife she's a saint. She tolerates me. I put her through her paces. So, and the root of the name Angela is angel. So I felt like this one is appropriate. So now, at this point, we're going to take this and turn it into something that we can use to make big copies of this. Because now the challenge, the thing that we have to do is we have to take I use this pencil. We have to take a line drawn letter and we have to make it a box letter because this can't be put into perspective. It's not going to work. So we have to have a shape to put in perspective, not just a line. So how do we get from this to this and have it be accurate? I'm going to show you. And it's using a grid. So I'm going to use this ruler, which I've talked about this ruler before. This ruler is amazing because if you can't see that, it's got, like, I can measure vertically and horizontally with this. So I'm going to go back. Where's that? Oh, it's on this sheet. Here we go. So I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to put a grid over this. I'm not going to use a huge grid. I don't need to use a huge grid. But I'm going to measure this. So it looks like it's about, this is 1 inch. This is 1.5 inches right here. And my ruler is 2 inches wide. So it looks like it's about 2 inches tall and about 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to first box that off using this ruler. Make a mark there, make a mark there. Now you can do this with a regular plastic ruler, but it's going to take you a little bit longer. Like I could do it using this, but it would take a little bit longer. So this is 2 inches and 1.5 going this way. And now I'm going to put a 1/2 inch grid. So there's a 1/2 inch and there's a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Connect them. And now I'm going to do same thing, but going horizontally. Half inch, half inch, half inch. Same thing over here. Half inch, half inch, half inch. There's a dog hair on this. Zoop, zoop. Zoop. So now I've got a grid, and I cheated and I put a grid. I drew this right before I started recording this video. So this is a 1/2 inch grid on this one. This one I made 1.5 inches. So I'm multiplying it by 3. This is going to be 3 times bigger on here. So now I'm going to use the lines of this grid to redraw this as accurately as I can. That, and then the end splits right about here, comes way out. Then it hits that line right there, and it starts to curve the other way. It does this. There we go. And then it just clips, comes around and hits not quite the midpoint, but right about here, and then right about there. So you see me making kind of sketchy lines, and if you've had me in Art Foundations, you know that I yell at you for making sketchy lines, but you can see now that I'm going back over those with some smooth, long, cleaner lines. I'll take my kneaded eraser, clean that up. And so that is like right there. And then it doesn't quite go to the edge. And then it comes around and hits right about there. And as I'm doing this too, after a certain point, maybe even once I finish the whole thing, no, it goes across here. Does it? Where am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yeah, 4. So these are nothing. Okay. After I finish drawing this whole thing out, I will probably go back through and make some adjustments. Might change the spacing on some things, because in a small sketch, sometimes when you translate it into a larger drawing like I'm doing now, it doesn't do what you thought it was going to do. You know, sometimes there are things that just don't work Not because you drew them wrong, but because they're just not the same size. Yeah, that feels better. And that feels like it should go. If I'm not sure about something too, I can cut these squares in half. It'll give me a little bit of a better idea of where these lines intersect my grid lines, where the lines of my drawing intersect my grid lines. I think that just turns into that. So that is now 3 times the size. And now I can take this and turn it into a 3-dimensional thing. Actually, I've got options right now. I can take a pen and I can trace this in a black line, and then I would have a tracer that I could use that I could replicate this over and over again. I think, you know what, I think that's what I'm going to do. So now I can use this. This is not the finished piece. This is actually just a tool that I'm going to use where I can play with what kind of lines I use for this. All right, so now that I have that, I'll show you what I mean. And I hope I can do it. I hope that's a dark enough line. So I'm going to rip this. Nope, don't do that. I should go get my X-Acto knife. But, yeah. So now I can put that over top. And it's dark enough that I can actually see, and I can just trace it. And then, so this is the next step, is like I said, turning this into a 3-dimensional, or not a 3-dimensional yet. Eventually it's going to be 3-dimensional, but now I can turn this into a 2-dimensional shape instead of having the lines. So I'm going to make all of the ends, and this is almost like a sketch also. Like I'm sketching, there's variations that I can do with this. So just playing with thick and thin lines. That's going to overlap. So I like that. That's not bad. But let me show you what I was talking about. Doing different ideas. Yeah. Grab a piece of sketch paper. Now I hope this is not too thick where I can't see that. Oh, nope, I can see it. So I'll do it this way. So I'm tracing it very lightly. I don't know if you can see in my video, but I can see the Sharpie line. I guess not really a Sharpie, it was a Dollar Tree gel pen. So that was my first take on on adding making these lines, turning them into shapes. This is my next take, and some of this stuff I can decide to connect them. So like this part here, in this sketch it's not connected, but I'm going to connect it. And then I think on this, so on this one, this part goes underneath that. I think on this one, I'm going to make it go over. And then that's connected. Maybe I should have connected that too. No, I don't think so. I don't know. This is going to come up this way. So then this is going to be, I'm going to copy this space right here. So you notice that, like, I'm not done thinking about things once I'm done with my sketch. Like, I got to make some of those creative decisions as I turn this into a two-dimensional shape. Actually, that's kind of cool too. So those, even though it's the same thing, they look very different. So I don't know which one I'm going to do. And I could also do, like, make it kind of bubble lettery, which I think that's going to be stupid, but let's see what happens. Actually, let's make it, maybe make it fat like a balloon animal. Like where this, maybe I have even more overlapping. This actually, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do there yet. I don't know what I'm going to do down here yet either. I'm going to, let's go on top of it. That's going to have to, I don't know. I'll just curve it, make it a tight curve. Let's see what happens. All right, that's the outside. I don't know, not the best. So I'll put this aside. I think I like this one the best so far. Actually, this one's got some characteristics that I like about it, but you get the idea. So from your 20 sketches, pick one that you like, put a grid on it, enlarge it, and then start your design. So when you enlarge it, your design should be about 4 by 6. I don't know, what did I end up at? I'm a little bit over. Because if it's too small, it's gonna be very difficult to put it into perspective. So I'm a little bit longer than 4 inches. I'm just about 6 inches this way. So that's the process. And again, don't, like, the point is, the beginning part of the video, the point was to show you how much time and effort goes into my thinking, because I feel like, I come to class prepared, but you guys don't get a chance to see what goes into me preparing. So think about your sketches, take time with your sketches, step away and come back, and even do that repeatedly. Don't just step away one time and come back. If you've got the luxury, if you've got the time to do it, step away multiple times. Do a series of sketches over the course of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days. And then, like I said, the other thing that I demonstrated in this video is that, once you have this, your idea machine is, you don't put it away yet. Like, you still got to think about how some of these shapes that started off as lines, what kind of shape are these shapes going to be? Are they going to be organic? Are they going to be geometric? Are they going to have a lot of sharp corners? Are they going to be, here's one that's kind of a mix between sharp corners and soft curves. This one's all curvy. Like I said, you gotta keep your thinking cap on, even for the second step of this process. So if you have questions about this, you know how to get in touch with me, and just finally, have fun with this, and take your time.